नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका बात भारत की के इस नए एपिसोड में। आज मैं बात करूंगी फुटबॉल के एक लेजेंड, एक पायनियर के साथ, जो बहुत नामों से जाने जाते हैं। ही इज कॉल्ड गॉड्स चाइल्ड टू इंडियन फुटबॉल एंड द सिक्किमी स्नाइपर। ही इज वन अ लॉट ऑफ अवार्ड्स जैसे पद्म श्री, पद्म भूषण एंड अर्जुन अवार्ड। इन्होंने ना सिर्फ इंडिया के लिए फुटबॉल खेला है, बल्कि फुटबॉल को इंडिया के हर कोने तक लेकर गए हैं। जी हाँ, मैं बात कर रही हूँ बाइचुंग भूटिया जी की। तो चलिए अपनी बातचीत शुरू करते हैं और जानते हैं उनकी जर्नी के बारे में। एंड लेट्स टॉक टू हिम अबाउट हिज पोस्ट रिटायरमेंट लाइफ एंड द इफेक्ट ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स ऑन फुटबॉल। वेलकम बाइचुंग, थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग मी टुडे फॉर बात भारत की। आपको किस नाम से बुलाएं? गॉड्स गिफ्ट टू इंडियन फुटबॉल, सिक्किमी स्नाइपर, या बाकी इतने नाम हैं जिनसे आपके फैंस आपको जानते हैं? You know, talking about football, you've been a pioneer in the sport. And if we talk about the sport, football in India, what do you think needs to be done? फुटबॉल के फ्यूचर के लिए, इंडिया में फुटबॉल के फ्यूचर के लिए?
No, I think for sports and football, I think as a country we need to be more of a sporting as a nation, because I think our culture for sports is yet to, I think, develop as a lot of other European, South American, and African countries. So it's also got to do with a lot of our education system, because we're all focused on education, academics, to produce engineers, doctors, bureaucrats. So we do that because our system supports that. But we don't have a system in education where we promote sports big way in schools and encourage a lot of kids to take sports professionally and give them that time and training to become world champions. So I think that support system lacks. So we need to create that culture of sports in India.
Right. But I think you've been creating that culture in India. Like, you have your academy, BBFS, which is doing quite well, and a lot of children we see enrolling in the club. So I want to know what occurred to you कि आपने ये शुरू किया बच्चों के लिए, because I mean, और कैसे, how do you push children to come into the sport and take up the sport?
See, I think we were the ones, we are the first ones to start academies in India, any sport. I think Bhaichung Bhutia Football School started in 2010. The main reason obviously was to give kids opportunity to play. I think in India the biggest challenge is, especially in bigger cities, more challenging is that the kids don't get space.
Right.
They don't have friends to play with. They don't have people who can coach them, train them, bring them to a certain place to train and compete with each other. I think that was the main challenge to start off with. And as a growing, as a young boy, when we grew up, that's one thing I felt, that a lot of our younger days where we wanted to train, coach under good coaches, compete with other friends, other clubs, I think that was missing in a big way. And that was the main reason why we thought that I would want to start BBFS, was to give that opportunity, get them to train under good coaches, get them to compete. And once you bring more kids out to play, I think that's where you'd be able to spot a lot of more talent. And one of the reason was to give them what I and a lot of my generation of footballers missed during our younger days. So that was the reason why we started.
Right. Actually, that brings to my next question, Bhaichung. You've had your own set of challenges. You've won a lot of awards, जैसे Padma Shri हो गया, Arjun Award हो गया. You've won a lot of laurels for the country as well. But उसके साथ आपके challenges भी आते हैं. And in today's time, if you see rural areas, there are children who want to come out and play this sport. How do you think we can support them to fulfill their dreams and become a footballer in the future?
See, my only advice is to the state government, to the center, and any people. I think we just need to create more open spaces, more playing fields. You don't have to spend millions and millions of rupees or crores of rupees to build stadiums right now. I think India is still developing nation in terms of sports. I think we need to make them places for kids to go and play. Access to those fields has to be easy. And the most important thing is you need to give them that equipment. If you just give them footballs or cricket bat, hockey bat, balls, I think the kids would just start playing. And I go to a lot of, even I come from Sikkim, and I go to a lot of villages across Sikkim, Northeast, or any parts of India as well. There are few grounds, but you would not see any kids playing. And one of the reasons, when you look into it and speak to people around, kids around that place, one thing that lacks is they don't have football or a cricket bat. I think that access to those sports and those equipments has to be easy. if you just give 10, 11 balls in one of the villages, you will see kids who just go and play in that open space. And that is what we need to make kids come and play. And if you look at the biggest example of today's, especially in football, all the best players, maximum of the best players in the world come from South America and Africa. And it's just that they have a great culture for football. They have access to football, they have an open space, 15, 20 kids come and start playing, and then that's how they produce. I think we need to make kids come out and play. And come out and play, they need to have at least that equipment, have cricket, bat and ball, hockey, stick and ball, or a football to just come and play. And if you can just do that, I think you'll see a lot of kids playing sports and, in fact, just not playing, but also you'll see a lot of talent coming out.
Right. So, sports are considered to bring about some sort of social changes. Through football, what do you think, what societal changes can we bring in?
See, I think sports and football, especially football, because it's a team sport, and I think that's where you bring in a lot of discipline, you bring in a lot of team spirit. You obviously, once you start training and playing, you start competing. It also teaches you how to be a team person. It teaches you how to lose and get back from, a defeat. If you win, you need to stay humble because you need to again perform in the next match. So I think sports teaches you way of life, and I don't think anything better than sports really can make you a great, strong, physically and mentally strong person when you grow up as an adult.
And now talking about, policies and reforms, what reforms or policies do you think, can get the Indian football team or Indian footballers to the forefront?
So reforms, obviously, everybody speaks about it as the grassroots, and, we need to start working strong and seriously in grassroots. But that's very, very important. But until and unless, again, which I said earlier, I think there has to be some changes with our education policy as well. Today being a parent myself, I can understand when my kids wants to become, if they want to become a world-class athlete, the education systems make it very, very difficult. I think they have very less time. 1 hour of after-school program of sports is not going to make you a world-class athlete. And then after, when you finish your 12th standard, when you go into college and university, your sports completely die out. And that's the reason why I think a lot of pressure is put into academics to make a career. So even our education system, if you can adjust a bit and give more time for really, kids to come out and play, and just not play, but also make them into world champions. Few things. One of the factors that, but yeah, I think our system has to be more lenient and more supportive towards the sports.
Right. Bhaichung, one last question before we wind up our conversation. What hobbies did you take up post-retirement, and how does your post-retirement life look like? What is it that you do apart from BBFS, of course, and apart from training your children, spending time with family? What is it? What other hobbies did you pick?
No, after my retirement, I didn't want to be so much with football, because I played football for 35 years, so I wanted to do something different. And the thing that really fascinated me was because I've been a footballer and I've traveled across different states, different countries, and I've always lived in hotels and ate almost all the time, hotel food, just not cooked in house, but in different restaurants. So one thing I've started is also I've done a small kind of a premium homestays in Sikkim. I've also started one of the biggest restaurant in Eastern India, that's in Siliguri. It's a fine dining with a bit of sports mixed to it.
Everything has sports mixed to it, of course.
More of hospitality, bit of restaurant, and I'm setting up my own. Just got a land of 15 acres, so trying to start India's first sports school. I think we're only having schools and academics, but now we're trying to bring in schools for sports, but academics would be involved. But academics would be it'd be a little bit backseat. Right now everybody goes to schools or boarding schools for academics, but this one would be more for sports. But academics will be given equally importance. But mostly it'll be a sports-related mindset kind of a school. That's what I'm trying to create.
Wow, that's wonderful. I think you're doing great here. But one thing that I am now intrigued to ask is how was your journey? Now that you're building paths for the other children who are trying to make a career in football. How was your journey? How did you start developing this interest in football? How did you know that you wanted to become a footballer?
I think growing up in Northeast and Sikkim, only one thing I think my generation of kids did was play football or go into music, because Northeast is known for only two things: football and music. So it wasn't very difficult because the environment was such that every village I went to, every town, every friends I spoke to, or elder people, they were only talking football and discussing. In every village tournament, my elder brother used to be a footballer. Every village tournament, my father was a panchayat, so he organized. We used to have full packed ground in the villages, people coming and watching. So that created a lot of excitement, interest for me as well. And then I think the first time when I watched any football on television was '86, and that was Maradona's time. I think Maradona also influenced a lot of me and my generation of players to take up. But yeah, later on, I think a lot of big players have come in. But growing up in Sikkim, I think the culture was so big in football. So I think naturally I fell in love and started playing.
Wow, I think it's been an interesting journey. Thank you so much for joining me today,
Thank you so
Bhaichung.
much.
Lovely to have you. So it was a very interesting chat with Bhaichung Bhutia today. उन्होंने हमें बताया कैसे sportsmen societies को influence करते हैं and how he's trying to take football to every corner of the country. Well, बहुत ही interesting conversation थी, but इसी के साथ हम इस conversation के आज के episode के end तक पहुंचते हैं. Next time हम फिर मिलेंगे एक नई शख्सियत के साथ, एक interesting personality के साथ. तब तक take care. Thank you.